Vai'cairn stood amongst the rocks and undergrowth, breathing hard. He gripped his chakram with his right hand and looked hard ahead. The crab seemed to have given up its pursuit. Not waiting a moment longer, Vai'cairn quickly jogged ahead. He was faster and smarter than the crab, and also better at navigating the rocks, but he was hurt, and he could not afford to risk any more injury. After a minute or so, he stopped beside a mossy boulder. He dressed his left arm and side with basic bandages of cloth and arrow fern. The crab's pincers had left bruised, jagged wounds, though not deep. Vai'cairn had caught his breath, and he pressed on. It will take more than the claws of a fell-tide crab to impress the honored, Vai'cairn thought to himself. Vanessa seemed confident that this stretch of beach would reveal me a rite of passage. But what? As he traveled, Vai'cairn pondered this. He had a sense that he would know when the time came, but he did not enjoy the anticipation. For a time, he kept off the beach, traveling along the higher ground, always on the edge of the sparse, jungle-like vegetation. But he knew that the plant cover that concealed him also concealed predators on the island, poisonous snakes or worse. And after spotting fresh tracks of a great hunting cat, he decided it would be better to travel once again near the shoreline. The day grew brighter and hotter as Vai'cairn moved on. He would dip into the ocean when he felt the urge, slipping gracefully through the clear blue water. And even though the shallows still held threats of their own, he felt safer underwater for some reason. He always had. Not that he needed such comfort, exactly, but he could not deny that there was a tenseness he felt from being alone so far away from the village. "This will be a test," he recalled Vaneth telling him, "not only of the physical self, but of the inner self as well. The challenges from without can be great, but your task will never complete until you have overcome the challenges from within." Vai'cairn scoffed mentally. Does she think me a weakling child? Soon enough she will see. The sun shone directly overhead when Vai'cairn finally had found his destination. He was certain of it. The beach had tapered off and was overtaken by a high rock cliff. Set into the cliffside was a great stone face, carved in some earlier time, for the wear of age and weather shone well. Its dull eyes gazed out to sea, held by high, hard cheekbones. The entire face was taller than 2 men, and was trimmed all around in glyph-like carvings. Its nose had since worn away and dropped off into the slapping waves below, but its gaping mouth still held fast. A dark opening, overgrown with roots and vines, an obvious entryway into a deeper grotto. Vai'cairn was sure of this, and he spied a narrow walkway, crudely hewn, into the cliff leading up to the mouth entrance. Vai'cairn approached the old path set into the cliff. He knew, even from a distance, that it had crumbled at parts, leaving a rough ledge, sometimes no wider than the palm of his hand. Still, it seemed a better path than the sheer cliff face, spattered with the droppings of gulls. Well, let's get on with it. Vai'cairn set himself against the cliffside and began to navigate the worn path. He worked his way slowly, feeling fairly confident. Though near the great stone face, the path narrowed. He was some 50 feet above the waves below, and he knew such a fall could be lethal. He gathered his sense of balance and went for it. Vai'cairn makes an acrobatics check to balance along the narrow, crumbling path here on the cliff. He's not too bad. He's actually trained in acrobatics, but unfortunately he rolls low. He only gets an 8, which is a fail. Despite his experience in balancing upon precarious rocks and tree branches, Vai'cairn felt himself falling. On his way down, he cursed his encumbering hide armor. Okay, Vai'cairn is falling 50 feet, but luckily he's falling into water, so it's not going to do as much damage as it normally does. He is going to take 27 damage. However, he's trained in acrobatics, so he can make an acrobatics check to reduce the falling damage. He comes up with a 26, And you actually divide that in half when you're reducing damage. So half of 26 is 13. So he reduces the damage down to 14. So he basically turns a deadly fall into mainly a painful one as he plummets slightly gracefully. He hits the water. It really hurts. Kind of knocks the wind out of him. And he now must navigate the rough waters below at the base of the cliff. He has to make an athletics check here. He rolls a 22. He is an expert swimmer, as many Archai are, and he easily swims. While he is underwater, his passive perception, along with his low-light vision, allows him to spot what looks kind of like a small cave, an underwater entryway leading into the cliffside. So, from down here, it appears that there are actually 2 entrances into this this strange ruin or cave or whatever this happens to be. He must decide which way he is going to go.